Well, it's a Monday, which can only mean it's time for a little between chair and keyboard. At least I think it's Monday. It feels like a Monday. It does. Although I think a lot of people may have taken today off based on the fact that yesterday was the Super Bowl. And I read something this morning that like 26 million Americans take the Monday off after the Super Bowl. And oh yeah, I suppose that's actually fairly common, isn't it? But
So that means there are people just at home starving for now that there's no more football. They need to have
exactly.
more entertainment. That's us.
That's right. And we're going to try to entertain you for the next 10 to 90 minutes. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. We do the show live, and so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I've been looking forward to this episode for a long time because you were one of my dearest friends, and I'm so thankful we finally got an opportunity to get you here on the medium-sized show and just catch up. You know, I very distinctly remember the first time I met you was CF Summit Basel, if memory serves, and I swung by the booth just to check in, see how everybody was doing. Thought I'd be there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I think it was like 2.5 hours later. Yep. We finally stopped yapping at each other, and away we went. So happy Monday, Bob. Good morning.
Hello, everyone. Yes, thank you for having me. Very excited. I have the gift for gab, and then as I found out, you have the gift for gab, and we got a gabbing.
It's dangerous.
So yeah, we definitely had fun, and I mean Basel itself, I loved those. Those were because I did it 2 years in a row, Clever Summit for EU in Basel, and I always look forward to that. Both just because the event was really cool, and clearly we were working for Pivotal at the time, and so Pivotal was such a huge donator to the Cloud Foundry organization in terms of thought and actual kind of programming and whatnot, that it felt like a home convention, even though it was for another convention. And you were new to the team, and I was really excited to meet you. And I was booth Bob at the time, doing my booth duties, and it was great. And you and I have so much in common, being that we're very close in age and very close in kind of what the things entertained us growing up, that it really wasn't that difficult to.
No, it is not. It is not. Why don't we start with origin story? How did you get into this weird space? I know you took a very traditional path into software that countless of us have followed. So why don't you lay that out for us?
Just like everybody else, I was invited by my old roommate from college. I mean, it's just a tale as old as time. I had been pursuing the acting career for 17 years. I got in the union, SAG-AFTRA, one union, and still am. And I was living in LA with my wife, and we had that wonderful conversation of like, okay, if we're going to have children, we probably should have a bit more steady of an income coming in. And I booked 1 to 2 commercials a year, which was great. I mean, that's great. But also when you're trying to build a family and maybe buy a house at some point, it's just not quite enough. And so I was like waiting tables, and I was substitute teaching. And then my old roommate from college said, hey, I've got a job doing events for this company I work for at Pivotal. And I'd done a lot of those things. I'd hosted live events. I'd done a lot like improv and stand up. And then I also did a lot of like corporate videos, for like Symantec and Veritas, and just kind of like a lot of HR videos, like you have to watch those. Yeah, I started those. And so anyway, he's like, it's a script that you can learn, and why don't you come on board? And there's like a steady paycheck, as they say in Ghostbusters. As long as there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say. And so my wife said, you're going to do that. And I was like, I'll do that.
Okay.
And it was a month after my daughter was born, so it was perfect timing. So I'll always know how long I've been in tech, because that's my daughter is a month older than how long I've been in tech. And my first event was VMworld in San Francisco, and I showed up in a tie and a button up, and Andrew Clay Schaefer.
We need to have a conversation.
He said, what are you wearing? I was like, I'm working in an event. He goes, no one's going to believe that you work in tech if you're wearing that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so that's when I learned t-shirt and a hoodie. That's just tell me what I need to. I'm an actor. Right. Give me my wardrobe. I will wear it.
Right.
And so that was literally the beginning of what kind of has changed the trajectory of my life. I fell in love with the team. Obviously Andrew Clay Schaefer was our captain, my captain on the advocacy team. And I was affectionately known as Booth Bob. And I went around North America and Western Europe and kind of peddled the wares of Pivotal Cloud Foundry, and then later, well, we got acquired by VMware,
Mhm.
and then 3 months later, the world shut down. So
Yeah,
it was we kind of forged into what this is now. We started
right. The virtual world of presenting.
virtual, yeah, exactly. So, and yeah, and then from that, it's all about who you know.
Mhm.
And then another friend who I'd worked with at Pivotal moved over to Redis and was building out the strategic alliance team. And he's like, look, I know you're obviously not doing alliances right now, but I think you've got a lot of the core skills, and you can, just kind of like what happened before, like you can learn it. And
Right.
so I did that for the last 2 years, and I helped build a partner program, and I helped to flush out, go-to-market strategies, bringing onboarding partners and enabling internally, and kind of just done a whole bunch of stuff in the partner world, and really fell in love with that because I see the value that partnerships have in growing a company from, kind of your smaller scale to just really taking it exponentially to the growth that it needs if you want to like go public, and if you want to
Right.
start really bringing in the big dollar revenues. So yeah, and then sadly, I got riffed in January. Don't take it personally. It happens to everybody, kid. And so I wear
Have
that
you ever
badge of
even
honor.
worked in tech if you haven't been riffed? I mean, I think that's almost it. It's a rite of
Truly.
passage. It's a rite
Truly.
of passage.
I mean, so I'm 7 years now in, and I've gone from a startup that went public and then got bought, back to a startup that tried to go public, and then the economy tanked, and then I got riffed. So there you go.
There you go.
I think
Full circle.
I'm just
The
just batting
circle
1,000.
of tech.
And along the way, you and I have had a few meals together.
We've had a few. Yeah,
on the road.
I think that's one of the things I miss the most. This is the longest I think you and I have gone without being in the same physical space since we first met, and it's very odd. I was hopeful that sometime in 22 we were going to correct that thing, and maybe 23 we'll finally heal. Nature will heal.
Yes,
and we will once
nature
again
finds a way. Yes,
it will find a way. That's what I understand. But no, I think it's. I always think it's remarkable that you're one of the very few people I know who like actually has an IMDb page that you can go and looks like it's a real person that I actually know.
Put up the banner now. Oh, we don't have that set up.
I don't have the I can get the IMDb banner. I'm fairly quick, but we could definitely find that. I was thinking about this today. Did you see Welcome to Wrexham at all? Are you familiar with that?
I saw the first episode. I haven't seen. I wanted to see more, and it just fell off my radar.
Life got in the way.
Yeah.
So
I'm
the
fan of those guys.
Oh yeah, Ryan Reynolds and Rob. I always want to mispronounce his last name. McElhaney. Yeah, there's a couple extra L's in there that always throw me off. But it makes me wonder. Like maybe you and I should buy a soccer club. I mean, if those two guys
100%.
can do it, how hard could it be? I mean,
I honestly think they only bought they paid for like $3 million for it. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you've got commercial money, and I've got
I just got let go from my job. I got $3 million, so I'm good to go.
No problem, man.
Now I don't know if it was euros or actually no. There it would be pound sterling, right? So
yeah.
I don't know
a Welsh team.
Yeah, but yeah, I would love to own any kind of sporting team.
Maybe we could afford like an under 7 rec team or something. I bet that's within our pay range. I doubt we could pick up the tab on a struggling.
Just walking around at T-ball games. Hey, you guys looking for new ownership?
Who's looking for some ownership stakes? What do you got?
Yeah.
Here, let me talk to you about that. It is kind of fascinating when you think about NFL teams right now. I just saw something this morning on how the price of those franchises is getting so high that the number of people who can even possibly buy one is shrinking by the minute, basically. And if you're not Jeff Bezos, you can't afford the tab. So,
well, yeah. How many billionaires are there? Supposed to be like 1,000 billionaires in the world or something like that. So, but yeah, you're gonna. I mean, obviously the Cowboys are the number one franchise, and I think that they're valued at like 5 to 7 billion or something like that. So you just got to have that like.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 times that. Yeah.
You got to have just to then start thinking about what else you're gonna do. So these are numbers that I don't even believe they exist. I think the science is still out.
I do too.
Kind of number, so
I do too. Yeah, I don't think it goes that high. I really don't. It does not go to 11. At least my bank account doesn't.
It's just one louder, isn't it?
It is.
One louder. Yeah. So yeah, I'm from the Bay Area, born and raised, Warriors fan. It's a great time to be a Warriors fan. Obviously, the last 10 years have been really great. But yeah, that franchise now is in the billions from
Right.
what Joe Lacob and crew have done. So shout out the Warriors. But yeah, it's unbelievable. And so as you said, they're getting more and more elite. But I don't know. I mean, like this is the thing that we get in with tech, right? Like there's these companies that are worth, the valuations are billions and billions of dollars.
Right.
And in case Apple's case, it's trillion, right?
Right.
And and so the salaries can be that high, like to go back to sports, because they're making that much money from TV,
Right.
they're making that much from merchandising and franchising, and and obviously ticket sales are going crazy, which they always say, oh, that's how we pay the players.
That's how we pay the bills.
That's not really, but I get it. But when your company makes, however many hundreds of millions a year, you got to share that with your employees, and so they're going to get hundreds of millions of dollars over 4 or 5 years.
Right.
So that's why you got to. That's what my other roommate said. He's like, dude, there's a lot of money in tech, and if you can get just a little bit of it, you'd be doing great. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I've definitely signed up for that, and but I did like when I started at Pivotal, I think there was like 1,500 people.
Sounds about right.
So it wasn't that big. I mean, it's big and obviously global, but not that big. Not like when we joined VMware and it was 30,000 people or something like that. And then when I went over to Redis, there was like 500 people, and I think there's now closer to 800 or 900 there. So it's fun to see that company size growth and what they're trying to do with it. So yeah, it's an interesting world, this tech, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I would never have obviously met you or some of our other really close dear friends that we saw on the road all the time. So it's great. You fall in love with the people, right? That's the hope is you come for the job, but you stay for the people. And so I'm looking for that next people person opportunity, everybody. Just letting you know. Just put that out there.
Throw that banner up.
Hey,
there it is.
You got a Bob-sized hole in your department. I'm there to fill it, brothers.
You got a Bob. You do have a Bob-sized hole, and Bob can and absolutely will step into that void, that breach, and solve that problem.
It's all about who you know.
See, I think to me that's one of the things that's so fascinating about technology is that there is no one way to get into this space. It's not like if you want to go become a biochemist, you're going to go get a degree in like chemistry and go down that path. I don't think a lot of
training. Yeah.
And probably for good reasons. I was briefly a chemistry major in college, and you do want to make sure people know what they're doing when they throw some of this stuff together, because you can harm yourself. There was actually one of the stories that floated around on campus. I don't remember which of my years, but one of the professors actually was doing an experiment, and one of the other professors, I want to say, smelled like almonds and went rushing into the lab and realized that, you just created something that could kill you and anyone else that breathes this in. So why don't we go ahead and put the kibosh on that experiment?
Let's turn the air fans on and get out.
Let's crank it up. This is a known carcinogen by the state of California, so cease and desist.
Whoopsies.
But I do think that's one of the interesting things about this space is that it leaves an awful lot of avenues to come in and contribute in different ways, and I think that's one of the strengths, frankly, of tech.
It's I know tech is trying to lead the way in being inclusive and kind of diversity hiring, and not only is that important both in the demographics of people that are trying to get in the space, but also just in the mindsets and how people as me as a prime example, are able to kind of get yes-anded into the space. And I started out doing events. Obviously, I learned the product. I became kind of like a good pitch person in terms of, hey, this is what it can do for you. And then I started learning, this is what you do. This is how it can integrate into that. And it really just got to how technical did I want to get. And of course, I got more and more proficient, but if it ever got in the weeds, I'd be like, and here's my platform architect to talk to.
Right.
But yeah, and it kind of goes back to, because obviously there's the famous stories of like Steve Jobs quit college and Bill Gates quit college, or whatever. It's the internal drive. Like what do you have inside of you that can make you want to pursue something and have passion for it and keep you relevant? My old roommate in college who, is now high up in this world. He was a creative writing major and a philosophy major, right? Like, again, nothing going towards IT and tech and understanding, spring ecosystems and all these kind of things. So it's great that that it welcomes those who work hard and want to work hard in the space, because it is also constantly evolving and changing.
Right.
You're always pushing the boundaries, and so if you can get in that space of like, what's the next iteration, what's the next 2.0 that we want to take from the customers and give something else. So there's always startups popping up, which is creating opportunities for people to shine and grow. And I'm finding right now, obviously, a lot of the big companies are letting the rifts are happening, but there's still a lot of like round A, round B, early startups that are growing, and they've got their ideas on the cloud, or their ideas on Kubernetes, or their ideas on kind of these more niche spaces that are being realized in the enterprise world. And so it's great. I've been able to talk to a couple of the companies, and it's really interesting stuff. And so we'll see where I land, but just see again where it just keeps going. And AI ML is like a whole other conversation. Obviously.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's part of what I love about this industry, is that it's constantly changing, evolving, and I get really frustrated when people go through this checklist when they're hiring. We need to have 5 years of this and 3 years of that. Things are going to change in 2 years. So I'm a lot more interested in how do you learn the new thing, because there's going to be another new thing. It's just a matter of time. And, you think about all these things we've gone through, these various waves of, oh, this is it. This is the last thing you're going to learn. Like, no chance. That'll eventually become dial tone. And then you move on to the next thing on top of that. And, it's invigorating. It's frustrating because there's this constant flood of things that you need to sort of be keeping your elbow firmly on the pulse of. But it also means there's lots of opportunities to learn and play.
I will say I really enjoyed speaking to the older demographic of people that were still in the developer space, because, here they are in their 50s and 60s. They're clearly getting towards retirement age, if that's something that they want to choose whenever. But they're still on that leading edge of technology. They're still trying to figure out microservices, and they're still trying to figure out, the best place for their enterprise software. And it's like, like I joked on the LinkedIn thing that we're going to talk about the good old days, because there's clearly that mindset of like, oh, it's not like when I was doing it in the C+ days, and on my Apple Newton, and stuff like that. But it's like it forces you to continue to evolve and grow with the technologies.
Right.
But what's nice about having that perspective from the past is you could say, well, this is how it didn't work back then.
Yes.
And so as we're iterating down the road, we can take those lessons learned and start going, okay, this is a new language, or this is a new way of, developing our software or looking at our microservices or whatnot. But we can take those lessons learned. So that's why I think it's important to, just to have, again, it's inclusive. It can keep, as long as you're not stuck in your way and you're like, well, I'm not changing. It's like, okay, if you're not going to change, then that's not much we can do. But
it's challenging.
If you're gonna grow and evolve with the business will accept you and keep you going.
Right.
And it welcomes those kind of sage people to kind of say, hey, this is how something similar didn't work. Let's maybe not make that same mistake again.
Yeah. So. No, that's an excellent point, because I feel like in this industry, because we're always sort of graduating a new cadre of people who have not done software before, they haven't learned some of those lessons, and they think this is something we've never done before. And with experience, you can look at it and say, yeah, we tried that 10 years ago and it didn't work because of A, B, and C. Now, maybe we've solved A and B, but not C, or maybe nothing has changed. We just renamed the thing. One of my favorite Andrew Clay Schaefer quotes is, "Who wants to argue about the definition of made up words with me?" We love doing that. Like, microservices, what is it? Yes. News at 11. So I think that's part of this game, is knowing or being able to see those patterns and how they repeat themselves, and that's where sometimes having a less than traditional background can actually be pretty beneficial.
Absolutely. And, I think of one of our favorite people, George Lucas, and how, when he did Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3, we don't need to get into whether they were good or not. That's a whole other conversation and a whole another 3 days of conversation. But just the idea of the technology wasn't up to speed until then. Right. So, the worlds that he was then able to create visually were unbelievable. I mean, I am, again, just a quick dip into I'm a firm believer in give us the practical as well as the green screen, because I think they've done that well with like Mandalorian and a couple other shows now. But just being able to go, okay, back in 1983 when he finished Return of the Jedi, and even like Willow was supposed to bring him enough money to help him start to evolve and grow his business to create better technologies. And I love Willow. I thought it was a great movie, especially because I was the right age, right? Whenever it came out in 88, I was 10 or so. And so, it's a fun kid story, but I don't think it did as well as he was hoping financially to be able to, take that money, reinvest it in the technologies. And so it just took it took like 3 more re-releases of the VHSs from THX to then we've added a couple scenes to then I literally just went through my parents' house and I found 3 different trilogy boxes. I have the original trilogy, then the THX. Not that I had THX surround sound to do anything with, but I was like, one day I will.
Gotta have
and then,
it.
of course, they added the scenes and, of course, Greedo firing first. The blasphemous editions, but
yes. See, that's my favorite question to ask somebody is, who shot first?
And you're wearing the right shirt to talk about it.
We
did not plan this, by the way.
We didn't.
We did not plan this. But we're both representing the wars. It just happens.
It just happens. It's just
90%
how much
of your wardrobe is based off of Star Wars.
There's a significant amount of Star Wars memorabilia floating around. To my left, I actually have a droid that I made a few years ago when we were out at Disneyland. So it's not. And to my right, actually my wife's droid. So no, we're of a certain age, I guess you would say, of a certain genre, but. No, that's one of the most fascinating things to me about Star Wars is how when Lucas created it, is like, nobody can do this. Well, I'm going to make a company that does this. Right. Yeah, that's how I'm going to solve that problem. Nobody can do these here. We're going to make a company that does that then.
Because he started THX, he started ILM, he started Pixar, and I feel like he started 5 companies with the intention of furthering Star Wars, and obviously just his filmmaking in general.
Right.
And over time has clearly sold them all. Mostly to Disney,
Yeah, well, and they're in good hands. I got to tell you, as someone who spent a lot of years waiting for more Star Wars content, the prequels did not fill that particular void for me.
Yeah.
And then once Disney got into the picture, I was a little hesitant, but they frankly, at least in my opinion, have sort of reinvigorated that space. Mandalorian is some of the best television out there as far as I'm concerned. And so I think it's been really interesting to see how they've grown, expanded that universe and giving you just the right amount of throwbacks for those of us who sort of grew up with it. But there's still enough new stuff for people like our children who are just kind of getting introduced to this space. And I think that's been really, really masterfully done by them, frankly.
Once they start getting to the point where they're doing so many side stories that they're like, let's follow the janitor of the Death Star's day. We don't need to, go that deep,
Yeah, that's a little much.
I just watched the Undercover Boss rerun, or the skit of Adam Driver as the undercover boss, as Kylo Ren. It's like, what kind of name is Kylo anyway? Oh, so good. It's so good.
Yep. No, that was such good stuff. No, I've been very impressed with that. I thought, man, I can't wait for Mandalorian to come back out. I believe that's I want to say next month. Yeah, it's getting pretty close. So I'm pretty excited about that. But we're going to Disney at some time here in the future, and so we got the wristband things. And
you saved up enough money to put a down payment
barely
to Disney.
Barely. I did have to take out a third mortgage just to make that happen. We were going to do the Star Wars experience or the Star Cruiser experience until we started kind of running the math and are like, nope, not gonna do that one. I'd love to. I think it would be amazing. But I can spend a week in the parks, or I can spend 2 days in a hotel. I mean, I know it's a lot more than that, to be very clear. I've listened to some of the podcasts and looked at some of the reviews, and I have no doubt that I would absolutely enjoy it. I just don't think I'd enjoy it at quite that price point.
Yeah, when you're thinking more about how much you're spending as opposed to just enjoying it, that takes away. Yeah, my wife and I figured that because it's $45 a person to go to Tokyo Disney, and I have enough miles from all of my days, which I still haven't really spent, that we could fly the whole family to Tokyo for no cost. So if you're taking flight costs out of it, whether I'm flying to LA or Florida or to Tokyo,
right,
it's cheaper for us to go to Tokyo and go to Disneyland than it is to go to California's Disneyland. We're like, wow, we should just do that.
Let's do that.
And then obviously have Tokyo times and Japanese vacation times as well. But yeah, we're just like, this is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous thing. Now I know Tokyo Disney is not fully owned by Disney, like they have another partner in there, which I'm research on. But yeah, it's Bob Iger says there's going to be some lowering of prices for the Disneyland, but I just I used to live in LA, and so I had season pass, and I could go there and come as I please. But I would see people like there, and I'm like, I know these people just dropped thousands of dollars to be here for like 5 days. Yeah, and the hotels and the food and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, it's awesome, but whoa, it's just like a whole other understanding of how lucky I guess I was to live in LA at the time. And talk about the good old days. I remember I paid $400 and I never got a blackout date, and parking was included. So.
And now that'll get you in the park for a day.
Yeah, like literally, we were going to go down for one day. We adopted a dog down in LA. Yeah, and the last time we did that, we were going to. We went to Disneyland for the day, and then the next day we met the dog, and then we drove because we moved back up to the Bay Area since living in LA. And so anyway, we were going to do that again, and we realized it was going to be like almost $700 for the day for the four of us to go, and we're like, no, we're not doing that right now. Yeah. So no, it's not just a quick pop in and let's have a day. Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like, we talked about these sports franchises exploding in value, and it prices out a lot of people, and I do think that's one of the unfortunate side effects of that is it does price out a bunch of folks who would really get a kick out of it and appreciate it. And, I guess I don't have an answer for that, but,
just make more money. Just make more money.
I guess that's the answer, but we had dinner with some friends over the weekend, and, one of them was kind of railing against sort of all the fees that come along with concerts these days. And, you want to go to a concert and the prices are astronomical, largely because of these fees and the fact that you have to often buy from some third party, and he's just like, I don't know why people do it. And it's like, because that's your only choice. I mean, I get it. Like if nobody went to the parks anymore, then they would be forced to change. But
that's the thing with Disneyland is like, it's still that was their biggest weapon against overpopulation, like having too many people at the parks, is they're like, we'll just raise the prices. But it did not stop people from coming, because it just Disneyland is so popular. And it's the same like the Warriors, going to a Warriors game, you're dropping easy $200 just for tickets before you're doing food and other stuff. And my son wants to go now, and it's great. I want to take him. But at the same time, I'm like, Daddy needs to get a job first.
Right.
Hire Bob. So that I can take my son to a basketball game.
Won't you please help Bob's son go to a basketball game? Does he not deserve to see the Warriors play live? I think he does. He's a wonderful, wonderful lad.
He is. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. So yeah, anyway,
that's a good point. I had season tickets to the Vikings right out of college, and they were reasonable-ish at the time. I can't remember exactly what we paid per seat. And I went with a buddy and a couple of his brothers, and we had 4 seats for years. And it just kind of eventually got to a point where you're like, boy, you're paying for 2 preseason games that nobody wants to go to. Yep. You inevitably have 1 or 2 games in the regular season that you can't get to because of something else going on in your life. And then you're like, oh, man, is this really worth it? And then when they built the new stadium, and if you'd like to buy tickets, you must first buy the right to buy the tickets.
Yes.
I'm sorry, what? I mean, is there any other place in life where, listen, before you buy this house, we're going to have to ask you to buy something that entitles you to buy the house. And it's going to cost nearly as much as the house, if not more than the house, to then have the right to buy the house.
Now, if you did do that and you were to sell your tickets later on, could you ask to recoup that money that you used for new buyers?
I'm not sure how the PSL resale works or not. I mean, there's got to be something, because mean, I think you buy that for a period of time, and I mean, it's a little strange to me. I was well out of the season ticket game by the time that stuff was happening, so I didn't really investigate it. But I knew people who did, and they've got no problem selling all the seats. So clearly, it works.
Yeah.
But it is a bit of a head scratcher when you're thinking, oh, okay, so you pay for the right to pay for the thing. Oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense.
That happened when we joined the swim team out here. There's a local pool, and they've got a swim team. My daughter wanted to get on the swim team, and it's like, great, this is what she wants to do. So yeah, you have to pay just to join the membership, and then of course you pay for the swim team and
of course
and stuff like that. But and then every year there's like a renewal of just being a member.
Yeah.
Thing. So yeah. But when you sell those, you can say, oh, okay, we're leaving the pool. And that's how new people can get in, and you can kind of ask for that. I'm just gonna throw out like $500 entry fee,
right,
as a part of your thing. So
sure,
but yeah, I got to pay to play. Got to pay to play.
Yeah. No, I as the proud owner of a teenager who's been very active in soccer for the last decade. I'm well familiar with club fees and everything that goes along with that. And then the uniforms, and because he's a goalkeeper, that's really times two, because you also need, sometimes you need both sets of uniforms. Now he's kind of got to the point where he only needs the keeper kit, but yeah, it's good times. It's good times. At least we don't have to deal too much with the high school activity fees. That's very common in I'm sure not just Minnesota, but elsewhere, where you want to play soccer, football, baseball, lacrosse. Well, there's an activity fee that goes along with that because reasons. So yeah, it's good times. Good times.
Yeah, I still have grade school kids, so I don't know what that's going to be.
Just you wait.
And thank you very much, Hamilton.
I don't even want to say this, but my kid's going to take his driving test later this month. So
no. Yeah, that's the other problem, is when I've known you long enough that your son was like, so we've known each other 7 years now or so, 6 or 7 years. So yeah, he was like 10, right? And now he's about done. No. This is how we tell the passage of time.
1,000%.
I obviously look a little bit older than I did 10 years ago, but not drastically
not much.
enough. No. Same with you. I'd say you look a little bit better now that you got your hip replaced.
That's true. I can move, which is nice.
But yeah, when your kids start, because you're like, oh no, not like this. Not like this. I don't feel like I've known you this long for him to be going to drive, but here we are.
Well, I my dear friend Venkat, his oldest is gainfully employed now. Ironically enough, for the Disney Corporation, he's one of their, I believe it's an Imagineer, I think is the
amazing
title. Yeah, it's awesome. So jelly. I'm so jelly. I think it just sounds like an amazing thing if you've got the skill. I don't have that skill set. See, he's like good at numbers and engineering. I'm a pseudo engineer. I'm a software engineer.
Yeah,
which means I actually
emphasis on the soft part.
Yeah, the software, and we just thought we needed to sound more interesting, so we threw engineer in there, even though we have like none of the engineering discipline that would be required in anything else that has engineering in the title. But it's same thing. I remember when his boys were 10 and 8, and the idea that they're adults, human beings, is hard for me to get my head wrapped around. But I will say it's a real slap in the face when you talk to your insurance agent about adding your teenager to the car insurance policy.
Yeah, how much more is that?
It's so funny because when your kids are little, if you have them in daycare and you do the math on how expensive daycare is.
Yeah.
We had some friends over a few months back, and that topic came up at some point because we all went to the same daycare center. And someone says, "Did you get the final printout from them?" And and it was this game of, well, how much did you pay?
Right.
could have bought a decent cabin for that price, And then you go, well, at least that's over. No, it just shifts.
Never. They always want. Life wants all of your money.
It does.
Life wants it all.
Or
the billionaires. The billionaires will take all your money, or life in general. Yes,
correct. It's always something. I need cleats. I need a jacket.
Yep. I need to eat. Whatever.
Food. Like it just never ends.
Over yourself.
Never ends.
You just ate last night.
Have you
How much more do I have to feed you?
In the backyard.
Yeah.
The birds do it. We have some very plump rabbits. Have you thought about trying to snare one of them?
Fight for the food. Yeah.
Right. It's good time.
No, and yes, and you and I unfortunately are raising children who have eaten really good food.
Yeah.
You know, like, again, not to say back in the old days it was better. It was not better back in the old days in that regard, and mainly because there just wasn't an emphasis on good food.
Right.
You know, like quality and sourcing and all that kind of stuff. So obviously, a lot of boxed prepared meals. The hamburger helpers and the out of the cans, which are all like really high in sodiums and whatnot. Now I love them, right? Like, you give me a hamburger helper stroganoff, and I will crush it. But like my kids, we're not feeding that kind of stuff to them. And my kids are 7 and 5, and they love sushi. And that was what my son wanted for his 5th birthday, was sushi dinner.
Boy.
And I think sushi's a little bit more expensive than the hamburger. We're doing it to ourselves, but you know what I'm saying? It's just, we've talked about some of the meat that you cooked and, from the butcher and stuff like that. And you want to get the good stuff, So, yeah. Some of it's self-inflicted. We do it to ourselves, but
Fuel says
small kids, small problems. I've definitely heard that a lot. The other one that goes with that one is, especially when you're going through a phase, is the days are long, but the years are short.
Oh, that's God, 100%.
Truism.
Yeah. Yes. My friend Raju had a baby, his wife had a baby. He was just there as staff.
I mean, he was there. Yeah,
he was present. He was present. He participated.
Good for him.
Yeah, he was around. So I one of the things I told him once I knew that they were going to have a baby, I said, okay, well, there's literally nothing anyone can tell you to prepare. It is a life-altering thing, period. And you'll understand that afterwards. But before, it means nothing. It's just
because nobody's lived your life. Yeah.
How hard could it be?
Life. Yeah.
How hard could it be?
It's my favorite. The most accurate representation I've heard is when Bill Murray talks about it in Lost in Translation of Scarlett Johansson's character, and he just says, "Your life, as you know it, is gone forever, never to return."
No.
But then he goes on and saying, but they get older and they get a bit more self-sufficient, and you want to hang out with them, and there's those type of things. But like, everybody lives their life their way. And then when the baby comes in, it changes whatever that version of that life was. So you can give advice like, oh, when the baby does this, you want to try patting the back, or, kind of some of those simple things. But just in terms of the day-to-day and all that kind of stuff, and how to emotionally handle it, it's totally different. And that was a big thing for me when, as an actor, you are your business, right? So you're out doing classes, you're out meeting people, you're doing shows, you're doing anything you can to kind of promote your business. And then as soon as my daughter was born, it was like, it is not about me anymore. It is 100%. And it takes the man longer to kind of get that, because obviously, the woman is growing the baby inside. So her life has already changed drastically.
Right.
She can eat, how she can lay and sleep, and the uncomfortability and all those kind of things. And we're along for the ride going, okay, I'll get you some lemonade, whatever, kind of thing.
Yes.
And then when the baby comes, you're like, oh, now it's real.
Uh-oh.
And so that's why it was just awesome.
There's no going back now.
No, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's already out.
There's no return policy. There's not like a week just to see if it will. Yeah.
I was led to believe a stork would be dropping this off and everything would be diapered and we'd be fine. Is that not how okay.
No,
still okay.
Apparently not.
Yeah. So
the cartoons failed us, Bob. They failed us.
In the lies. But they were entertaining. That Mel Blanc.
But the thing that I've always found amazing about being a parent is you get to re-experience things through your kids again. And that brings you great joy. There's a lot of heartache comes along with that, as they navigate some of these interesting waters. But I was so excited to show Everett Star Wars.
Oh man,
and to get to re-see that through his eyes, still one of the top 5-10 experiences for me was that. And it really is something to watch your children grow from these little crying, puking balls to, oh, you've got like a whole personality and
opinions on things,
thoughts, and then they start introducing you to things. Like I learned about music through the kid, because he's like, hey, listen to this. I'm like, well, that's really cool, and I don't know where he finds that, because he's my outlet to those kind of things now. But that's part of it, right? Is getting to re-experience that. He lettered in the fall, and so we bought him a letter jacket, and it was surprisingly emotional for me to see him in a letter jacket, and it's like, well, and then of course he wanted to see mom and dad's, and so we dragged those out of the closet wherever they've been hiding for the last 20 years, and it's like, Oh, yeah. Well,
This is the
kinda,
problem with the letter jacket. And I too, I lettered in high school and I was happy to get one. But yeah, after high school, you pretty much just put it in a closet and don't wear it.
yeah.
And my dad lettered in wrestling at his junior college. That was
Okay.
because back in the 60s, I don't know if in high school, they had maybe sweaters.
Sure.
My only reference to this is Rydell High from Greece.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
He was
There you
out for
go.
the track team and he's wearing like the sweater with the R on it. But my dad had a proper Letterman jacket from college, and so when I had a motorcycle when I just moved back home from college, and I got a motorcycle, and so I would wear his jacket. And so one day I took him for a ride on the motorcycle, and he came out wearing my Letterman jacket, which was really sweet and funny. And so
Right.
we like rode around wearing each other's Letterman jackets. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the next phase, like you said. When my kids get older, they might wear it, or my
Right.
dad was in Vietnam, and so I wore different army jackets that he had in high
Sure.
school. And
Sure.
I know the holidays are so much more fun now with kids as opposed to when you're an adult. They're fine, they're a good excuse to go see friends and family and have a good meal and stuff, but that just waking up and we celebrate Christmas, right? So the lie that we tell our children of Santa Claus, I hope they aren't watching. I hope you're not watching. You should be in school.
No, they don't watch it.
No, anyway, but but still they just they love the waking up and the excitement around all that and stuff. So it brings back a lot of joy to kind of relive it, like you said, through your kids' eyes.
But I did text you on Christmas morning to see what time the kids woke you up. And, with now having the teenager who will sleep until noon, 1, 2, if you don't go poke him with a cattle prod, he, unlike when he was little, when, he'd be pounding on the door at 6 a.m. ready to rock and roll. I think it was probably 10 or 10:30 before he wandered up from the basement.
You'd already made coffee and kind of settled in.
Right. Christine and I were like, well, I guess we should probably, do you want to open presents? Should we wake him up? I don't know what we do. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. But
I mean,
long days, short years. There's no getting around it. I'm still struggling to get my head wrapped around the fact that my kid's a sophomore, and the family that we were hanging out with this weekend, kids same age, and their oldest is a junior. She'll be a senior next year. They're talking real seriously about colleges and where she wants to go. And
gross.
Well, yeah, there's a fun one for you to think about, is just how expensive colleges are going to be in a decade or so.
I mean, fortunately, there's things that you can kind of put monies into to help save up for
defray.
So yeah, we've done that, but it's still not going to be nice. We are like I was talking about Tulane. It came up the other day, and it's like $40,000 a year to go there, right? So you go there for 4 years, you're $160,000 in debt if you're paying for it, right? So, and that's after assistance. That's after assistance. It's $40,000.
Right.
It's like, oh my goodness. So, but also, just to kind of wrap back to the IT world, like, my kid wants to be a cook, like, then it's a culinary school. Or if they want to be a pilot, and those are, thank you very much. Yes, hire me, please, because I've got children who need to go to school, do something, eat food. I don't know. Mortgages don't pay themselves.
They don't. I wish they did. The amazing thing about mortgage companies, they never miss a month.
No, they remember.
We forgot to collect. It's like that line from Goodfellas. You give me my money.
Yes. But yeah, anyway, I mean, if my kids, if whatever they want to kind of put their studies more into, and here I am, a guy who went to college as a physics major and then became an actor, and now we're in the so I'm all for
very traditional path.
Yeah, it's as I said, a tale old as time.
Right.
You've heard it 100 times, but it's so I'm here to encourage them into whatever their passions are, and then there's a lot more avenues in which to pursue that, right? Like as opposed to just having to go to a 4-year school, get a degree in something that you may or may not use. It may or may not be worth the price of the paper it's printed on, but here you are saddled with some sort of student debt or whatnot. I mean, clearly I'd like to help my children in paying for whatever education they have, but we'll see. But if my daughter wants to be an astronaut, that's a lot of schooling.
Yeah,
a lot of schooling.
Yeah, no shortcuts for that one. But
so we'll see. She wants to be an astronaut today, but that
may change.
So when I was in the 8th grade, I wanted to be a professional basketball player, and in the off season, I was going to be a marine biologist.
Perfect.
So I'm still waiting for
Wait.
that offer from the Warriors to be a professional basketball player.
I thought you were on their bench. Is that not the case?
I know where the bench is. It's on the left
Right.
side of the
Right.
screen.
Right. That's the important thing. At least you can find it. You know,
I have actually looked. I have looked at the Warriors for a job now that I'm in the job market, and they had something with partnerships for their G League team down in Santa Cruz. But unfortunately, you have to be in Santa Cruz area. But not willing to relocate at the moment.
That's challenging.
But yeah, no, that's kind of one of the nice things about looking for a new job is you kind of can go, okay, I've been kind of lasered in on this particular seat, but there are other companies that do partnerships, or types of business, other verticals.
Right.
Hire Bob. That's me. I would love to come and help you grow your business through partnerships. But yeah, it's just one of those moments where you can go, okay, let's reflect on what's important. Clearly my family's important, feeding them is important, and paying mortgages and the rising costs of gas and electricity. But maybe that can be done in a different way and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely utilizing LinkedIn and
did I lose Bob? I may have lost Bob.
I'm here.
Okay. Oh, we're back. We're back. There he is. Okay. The joy of the interwebs. See, technology, It's amazing in every way.
And I'm hardwired in too. I
know.
The advice
I mean, sometimes the internet just gets tired. Yeah. It's very complicated. It's a series of tubes.
I got to ask Al Gore what went into it back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably tired.
I don't know. It just gets tired. Well, because we're doing so much stuff from home now, and we're streaming high def television and movies, and
we got to open up the fire hose.
We need a bigger pipe. Gotta have a bigger pipe. Simple as that. Yep. Speaking of high def, so we did allude to the Super Bowl earlier, so this will tie this episode in. But did any of the commercials stand out to you? I mean, I think I did officially lose Bob. Don't worry, he'll come back. We'll just double check that he's got this is the fun that is the internet era. Double check. Let's see. We'll get him back. I hope. Let's see, did I miss any comments? Oh, there we go. Internet got mad. Yeah. So Fuel says a miscellaneous dev. I like that, Fuel. I think that's not a bad way of describing a lot of what we do, is just sort of miscellaneous development. So it's one of the truisms of this industry is you realize that we've often just reinvented the same thing before. I remember when I was in college, my advisor said to me that he got tired of constantly putting front ends onto databases, basically. And I thought, well, that seems weird. And then I got into the industry and realized, no, that's pretty much what it is putting some kind of front end onto some kind of data store with obvious implementation changes along the way based on what that data store might be or what we mean by a front end, whether that's a graphical user interface or something else. But such is life. So we're hoping that Bob comes back online here. So his internet went down on him. Let's see. It's almost a given these days, right? I mean, this has happened to me before. I was doing a presentation to one of our clients in the middle of the night for one of their APJ locations, and my internet decided to just go down. So, it happens to the best of us. But let's see. What else can I say while I'm waiting for Bob to hop back on? I do have a lot of good guests coming up. I'm pretty excited about the folks that we're going to have here for the next few upcoming episodes. And there he is. I'm going to add him back into the stream, and he's back. Maybe. Can you hear me now?
The internet got mad.
Yeah. I mean, it does. Like I say, it just gets grumpy sometimes.
It got real mad. I'm on my phone now. I'm on my phone. My whole computer's not doing it.
You do live in California, so it's not like there's any tech companies in California.
Very few. They're still trying to get the fiber out here.
Yeah, I know it's tough.
I see the trucks.
Tough. That's right. So we started talking about commercials.
I think my computer's trying to install. Yeah.
Oh, that happens too.
That I did.
Where your computer. Yeah. Did you see any commercials that you thought were particularly good, that are memorable, or even better, where you actually remember the company that's behind it? Because that's half the battle, right? Is you come up with this really clever commercial, and then people are like, "Who's that for?" I want to say Target.
These are my takeaways from the commercials. Because as an actor, that was especially commercial actor, that was the Super Bowl of commercial acting was was getting one of those, which I never. The closest I got was when Doritos was doing the Crash the Super Bowl competitions. Mine was a finalist.
Nice.
It did not play during the Super Bowl, but they did pick it up and play it otherwise.
Nice.
And you can find that on YouTube. You can go to it's a Doritos spot. It says Too Delicious, TOO Delicious. That's the name of that one. So if you want to go to that, and then locally, I had done a Chevron talking car spot, and they played that during the Super Bowl, like on the local channels. And then same with the SoCal Honda commercials. I had a SoCal Honda commercial play in like the LA area.
Yeah.
And so that was, I didn't get one that played nationwide.
Sure.
But I did get some that played kind of like that. And actually the Chevron Talking Car one is also, you can hear that one or watch that one. It's obviously animation, so it's just my voice. But that one I had, it's called Options, something like that. If you type in like Chevron Talking Car and Options. But what I picked up yesterday was tons of celebrity endorsement people, like, you know, Bradley Cooper was with his mom on a T-Mobile commercial.
That was pretty
Serena
cute.
Williams was in 2 commercials.
Right?
I was like, holy cow, 2 commercials? But we were at a friend's house, so it was an excuse for our kids to play together. We didn't have a skin in the game when it came to actual the teams itself. So we were watching the kids, watching the game, having some adult beverages. It was, sorry, my phone is sliding. I'm trying to fix it.
Good.
Anyway, so yeah, and the Ben Stiller, Steve Martin for the Pepsi commercial. That was fun to see.
That was an interesting one to me, because they kept talking about, you know, acting is making you think I believe this, and this is really good, or am I acting? I'm like, is that
right?
Is that really exactly the message that you want about your product?
Wanted Pepsi? Yeah.
I was really surprised by that as the hook.
And then I definitely got to the point. Yes. I agree. That was kind of like, so Steve Martin's just acting that he likes Pepsi. I mean, okay. And there was a couple that were like, I'm too old. Like the Doritos commercial, they had some guy that I don't know who he is. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know who the artist was. And so I was like, okay, I'm now at that point where I'm aging out of the current pop culture to know what's cool and what's not. But and then there were a ton of new movies that come out, trailers, you know, like the Indiana Jones, Guardians of the Galaxy, Flash. And a lot of those, I don't watch the trailers because I just, like, I'm already going to go watch this movie. I don't want anything spoiled. My friends call it going full Brindley. And that'll happen with anything Star Wars, anything.
That's fair.
Superhero like Marvel or whatnot. And of course, Indiana Jones falls in that category. So as soon as I like heard the music, you know, bum, 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 I'm like, all right, and I'm looking, la 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 la, you know, what's this over here? I'm gonna go get some more chicken nuggets or something. So yeah, those were my takeaways from the commercials of the Super Bowl.
I did enjoy.
And part of it, you know, you're, like I said, you've got people coming in and out.
Right. The Ben Affleck, I think it was Dunkin' Donuts. That was pretty good.
Oh, I did. That's right. The Ben Affleck, and I did like that they got Jennifer to come at the end. I didn't hear any of it because kids were yelling and stuff like that. But I was like, oh, this is hilarious because this is a thing that I've seen, you know, celebrities be the, you know, like Mark Hamill did it for Jack in the Box, where he was the Jack in the Box, you know, person at the window. But yeah, so I did like that they got Jennifer Lopez to be in it. That was really cute.
There was one spot where he looks at the guy at the drive-thru and says, "Do I look familiar to you?" And the guy's like, "No." And you can see Affleck's like, "Really? Like, I don't look familiar to you." Oh, okay, all right, cool. All right,
great.
Is this what
enjoy
you mean by going to work all day?
Enjoy your donut.
Right, enjoy. So speaking of movie trailers, and I'm guessing you probably missed this one, but there was a trailer, at least here in the Twin Cities, for the Ben Affleck Nike movie. I believe it's titled Air. But that's about the signing of Michael Jordan.
Yes, I have seen that.
How excited are you for that movie?
Well, I love everybody that's in it. Like, it's got the Bateman
in
it, and it's got Ben Affleck, and it's got is John Hammond? Who else was in it? Anyway, like the people that I saw, I was like, yes, I'm in it for them. You know, I'm going to take it very loosely based on how it happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna go, well, this is verbatim. So I'm just hoping it's entertaining in that regard. Clearly, you and I are both wannabe sneakerheads.
Yeah.
We don't have our own bots, so we can't buy our own shoes
No.
anymore. But when I had disposable income before I had family,
Children,
mortgage, all those types of things, I spent my money on shoes, and so I still have 90-ish pairs of sneakers. But yeah, I had more. I at one point sold a lot because I just wasn't wearing them, and it was time. And that was a nice thing. I either made my money back or I made money off of them, which is really nice. But but yeah, so yeah, as a sneakerhead, it'll be fun to kind of see that a little bit. But like I said, I'm not gonna take it as gospel. This is exactly how it went down.
Yeah, no, I think loosely based, right? It's like so many of these things based on a true story. The based on's doing a lot of work in that statement.
For sure.
Yeah, I will say I think Christine does have a bone to pick with you about the whole Jordan thing. So just be aware the next time you come to my house, she may be a little grumpy with you about that because my shoe collection has grown a bit in the last year. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
I can neither confirm nor deny my involvement in any of this next. And she better not look at my texting history with you to.
No, I don't.
Hey,
I
which
don't.
ones of these should I get?
I don't think she. I mean, maybe, but yeah, no. I just want you to be aware, right? Just be on the double check there. But yeah, I've definitely gotten a little bit of grief about my growing collection of shoes. But what are you gonna do? I was very jealous watching
when your foot stops growing.
I know. I've got shoes that I've had for years.
You can buy more, yeah.
And what's the big deal? What's the big deal? I was very jealous watching the game. At one point, they panned over and showed this giant pile of various Nike cleats, and almost all of them were of the Jordan, genre. Yep. And I thought, they didn't make those when I was playing, and
no,
actually can't get my hands on those even if I was playing today. I'm kind of jealous that these multi-million-dollar athletes have access to shoes that I don't.
Yeah, there was a lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs that was wearing Jordan 1 cleats, and I pointed him out to the other dad that I was hanging out with, and I bought many years ago. They came out with Jordan 3 cleats that I bought off East Bay, which doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
Remember the East Bay catalog? That was an incredible catalog to get in the mail. I was like, oh man, let me go look through this. So yeah, I rocked those Jordan 3 cleats until. It's a good question. What's the topic today?
It's all over the place, Fuel. It's all over the place, man.
Veritable this is cornucopia. Yeah.
Corn of something or another.
Horn of plenty. But yeah, it was ever since they started doing Jordans as cleats, I was like, yes. But yeah, like you said, now there's almost impossible to get unless you have a bot to be able to buy 120 pairs for you.
Pretty sure Jalen Hurts started the game in 11s. He had Jordan 11s in the Kelly green or the Eagle green, and man, that was a nice looking shoe. That's my sort of white whale of the shoe world is those Jordan 11s. That's probably my favorite. I did manage to snag the 11s in the cherry red, which I am extremely excited to wear once it's not winter here in the Twin Cities. We have real winter, not like man, it's so cold. Got all the way down to 55. I know. The struggle is real. What is that, like 14 in Celsius or something? Man. Yeah, that's the only way your temperature sounds cold is if we convert it to Celsius. Then
it's fair. All I know in Celsius is over 30 is too hot. That's all I know. Once you're getting to 32s and 34s, it's like, no, it's too hot. That's too hot. But yeah,
that's about all I can do.
No, my capillaries, they're on the closer to the skin, so they get colder easier. It makes my blood cold.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Fuel says it's nice in Norway. I was in Sweden last week, and it actually was fairly reasonable, for this time of year. Although I will admit, May is a much more pleasant.
But like, when does the sun go down?
Oh yeah, that's the challenge. So I'm trying to think. It was worse in Finland. In Finland, I think sunset around 4:30 and didn't rise till like 8:30. And when I was in, I was in Stockholm last week, and it was, I want to say sunrise was 7 something and sunset was 4 something. I'd have to double check, but it was definitely, I agree with Fuel here. Like, because in the Twin Cities, our days are finally getting longer, and the February is really where you really start to feel that the days are longer.
Yeah.
There is something magical about the sun finally setting after 5 o'clock. I don't know why, but it feels better when it's 5:30 as opposed to like 4:30. But to each their own. Yeah, that would be challenging. That was one of the things I learned in Helsinki is apparently people are encouraged throughout the day to go outside and get some sun exposure, because obviously once you're near the solstice there, it's pretty little daylight.
Yeah, it's being California born and raised with all the sun. It's just something I think about. Like, I mean, the summertime it's great because you go and it's sunny 15 to 18 hours of the day, and then you try to go to bed and the sun's still out. It's like 9 or 10 at night, and you're still trying to go to bed. But yeah, those dark hours, ugh, no, thank you.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting point, Fuel, that with work from home, it is definitely easier, to get out and get a little bit of sun exposure during the day, which, turns out that vitamin D is pretty darn important. But I would struggle, I think, to have really, really short days. And I think it's bad enough in the Twin Cities. But, oh, yeah, no, I remember in high school, my freshman year, I wrestled, and my high school was built in like the 60s, and the design then was kind of like a casino, don't have any windows or anything that has any sense of time because you don't want the kids distracted or something. And so it was common during that winter block that I would get to school in the dark, be in school all day, have practice, and then leave in the dark. And that was something I definitely did not enjoy. Would not recommend. Definitely have notes on that one.
Right. No, do not recommend.
Mm-hmm. 1 star.
Plenty of notes.
1 star.
Do not recommend.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we want to delve into? So we talked about Super Bowl commercials. It's funny you brought up that Venus showed up twice, or Serena showed up twice, because that caught my attention too, and it made me wonder how much does that have to cost to get her to do 2 ads, and that can't be cheap. I mean, what's your ad budget when you're dropping the 7-ish million for the 30 seconds, and then you bring in someone with her, star power, celebrity status? I mean, I guess Beyonce would be more, but
so basically the math, I have a good friend who has his own creative ad agency, SOS agency, shout out. John Kovacevic, awesome dude, known from the acting world and whatnot. And he also did a lot of, went into marketing and stuff like that. And so, as you said, it's about 7 to 8 million just for the spot, just for the 30 seconds time. That's what it is now. So then you obviously have to pay the advertising company to come up with the ideas and pitching and doing all that kind of stuff. And so that's millions of more dollars. And then you get to the actual shooting of it. And so when you add a celebrity, they're going to require in the millions of dollars. It's definitely a 7-figure, type of a deal. And so it's just, you're looking at between 20 to $25 million once it's, because you not only have that, then you have the there's a lot of teaser, commercials. Tune into the Super Bowl for this commercial. They've got, YouTube and online ads and, just all the other stuff to support just watching this 1/30-second, or like in Disney's case, a minute and a half, which was their Disney 100. And so, it's definitely, if you don't have $20-25 million to spend, you're not in that game, which is crazy. The thing I also noticed, or didn't notice, I noticed that I didn't notice, was there were no like Bitcoin, Coinbase commercials this year. Last year there were like 3 or 4, and now there are 0. So whoopsie daisies on that one. How'd that go?
There was almost
Thanks, Matt Damon.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I saw a bit on that this morning on the news talking about how in some instances this is like being on the cover of Madden, where that's like almost a curse to be on the cover, to be in this. And you look at how many companies had the big splashy ad and then disappeared. Now, obviously not universal. I think one of the most iconic Super Bowl ads of all time would be Apple's 1984 ad, and that's still around, doing quite well, we might add. But there definitely is a connection of companies that they have an ad, and then that's kind of the pinnacle, and then it's all downhill from there, as they say. But
all downhill from here. Yes.
mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, it's always fun, and I got to the point where I worked enough in LA in the Bay Area that I knew some people that were in them. It was like, oh, awesome. That's so great to see, that person there. This year, there were so many celebrities. There were very few just, commercials with
working
commercial actors in them.
Mm-hmm.
That it was, I feel badly because it's like, it's such a bummer,
right.
But,
right.
It's like as we're seeing, the celebrity endorsement is taking all the dollars. So, what are you going to do?
It obviously works in some way, shape, or form, or they wouldn't do it. There's no getting around that. But
yep.
Well, I'm sure we could continue to go into inside jokes and talk about amazing dinners that we've had, but that's probably really only interesting to you and I and a very small subset of people. Yeah, that's really the inside behind the scenes, and I just don't know how interested most people are. And of course, I don't know how interested people are about us talking about Super Bowl commercials. But who knows? We'll see.
But as soon as people want to have a conversation about core in London with Chef Claire, we're down to have that conversation. Shout out to
my all-time favorite restaurant,
Chef Claire. So, yeah, she's so great.
Still one of my favorite meals was with you and the fam. So miss that. But well, it's a pleasure to hang out with you, my friend. I just wish we were doing this live in the same room. That would be better, but
be a lot cooler if we did.
But we'll have to wait. It'll happen. I feel confident. Confidence is high that sometime in 23 we will be in the same physical space, IRL, as the kids say. So
yes,
fingers crossed. But
I can't wait.
And
thank
stay
you all,
warm.
anybody.
Right?
I might.
For you.
Well, I've got the heater on my feet.
I know.
My tootsies are.
Yeah, that's good.
So.
Yeah, and you 55 degrees. I tell you.
And one last plug. Thank you. One last plug. Hire me if you want to work in strategic alliances.
Absolutely.
I'm available.
He's the man.
I'm available for hire.
Won't someone please help Bob feed his children? Please, we beg you. But well, a pleasure as always, my friend. We'll be back next week with Cornel. You remember Cornel, and so he's going to hang out with me. We'll talk about
of course,
all sorts of crazy things. I'm sure it would probably be a lot less about Super Bowl ads for those of you that are not happy that we spent the time talking about what some of the world calls superb owl, but. Fine. We all watched the World Cup. You can watch a little American football. It's not going to hurt you. It'll be fine.
Right. Yeah.
But we'll be back next week. And until then, thanks again, brother. Appreciate you as always.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for anybody who stayed on and was watching. I really appreciate it. And miss you tons.
Miss you too, buddy.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.